Not much went wrong for the Dallas Cowboys in their 33-17 rout of the Cleveland Browns, but one thing that did was tight end Jake Ferguson's knee injury. With the tight end depth behind Ferguson consisting of Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spanford, the Cowboys were hoping that Jake wouldn't be out for too long. Dak Prescott stated post-game that "we dodged one," and then Ferguson posted on social media, "God is good." Now, head coach Mike McCarthy is giving a positive update on the Big Biscuit. "Good news," McCarthy said. "He'll be working with the return-to-play group on Wednesday, so we'll see how that goes." So, with Ferguson having an MRI on his knee revealing an MCL sprain and nothing more, it is perhaps the best possible news for Ferguson and the Cowboys, as it was the only downer on what was a positive Week 1 outing. Ferguson's injury highlights the depth behind him. Schoonmaker and Spanford would have to pick up the slack for McCarthy's offense. And while Ferguson isn't ruled out of Dallas' Week 2 outing against the New Orleans Saints at AT&T Stadium, one would imagine that the Cowboys won't risk their TE1 for the season's second game. If that is the case, Schoonmaker and company will have to help Dak Prescott and the offense get rolling in Ferguson's absence, but for now, it's a wait-and-see approach. And you can bet that on Wednesday all eyes will be on Dallas Pro Bowl tight end Nick Eatman. Ironically enough, the guy that made the biggest impact was probably the one that we always seem to overlook. The first-round pick started at left tackle, on the third-round pick started at center, but what about second-round pick Marshawn Kneeland? He didn't actually start the game, but he played a significant role and helped the defense get off the field time and time again. Kneeland showed his versatility playing inside as a rusher, getting 6 pressures in the game and helping the defense chase Deshaun Watson all over the field. I thought the 3 rookies that started all played fairly well, but to answer your question, I think Kneeland was the one that might have had the biggest impact. Kurt, I thought all of the first-year players were solid. None looked overmatched, including left tackle Tyler Guyton, who still has things to work on but did just fine against one of the premier pass rushers in the league. Of course, he had help, but when a team can hold Myles Garrett to 2 tackles and 1 sack, I think that's a good day. However, the guy who really surprised me was linebacker DeMarvion Overshown. We've seen previous examples of players struggling to regain their form after suffering ACL tears. Add in the fact he was also playing in his first NFL game, and I just wondered how much of an impact he'd have. So much for that. Overshown was truly impressive, his speed and toughness on full display throughout the game. One of the biggest transformations on the team has come in the linebacker room. A group that was simply overmatched at times last year has the makings of being a real strength this season. And Overshown is a huge reason why. Needless to say, the best is yet to come. There were a number of factors that contributed to the Cleveland Browns losing to the Dallas Cowboys, but the main focus of criticism is Deshaun Watson. It's warranted, and he's currently holding this team back. The offensive tackle situation was bad. Beyond the mess at left tackle, second-year right tackle Deshuan Jones played the worst game of his career. The cast of receiving threats, including Pro Bowlers Amari Cooper and David Njoku, looked ordinary with their share of drops. But while those issues were indeed valid as the Cleveland Browns offense looked helpless against the Dallas Cowboys, the focus of the criticism is once again on the supposed franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Kevin Stefanski isn't going to bench him, nor should he, but Watson had yet another embarrassing performance to start out his 3rd season as the Browns' signal caller. Both the organization and the fan base are tired of waiting. Worse for Watson, so are his teammates. The lack of preseason snaps or alleged rust can't be used as an excuse. Plenty of teams played preseason and looked terrible in Week 1, and plenty didn't and won. Likewise, no one wants to hear Watson say he's a slow starter. They don't care. They want to win games, and the Browns and Watson looked helpless against a playoff-caliber opponent at home. Watson was consistently off target, often short-hopping passes to receivers underneath. Deep, he was overthrowing his targets, with a number of passes sailing out of bounds, leaving receivers with no chance to make a play. Some accurate throws were peppered in, but nothing resembling predictability or consistency. And a number of those off-target throws were on schedule. He just missed. It's becoming more difficult to argue he's ever going to be an effective quarterback, but he's such an unpleasant viewing experience that no one wants to put forth the effort. Initially, Watson started out managing the game. Even though he wasn't moving the ball, partly because of untimely penalties, he was letting the game come to him. That was fine. Trusting his teammates and the defense while settling into the game flow.